All right, so get ready because we are diving deep into Klingon philosophy today. You've sent in some really interesting stuff, actually, excerpts from Klingon sayings and proverbs, along with some, well, kind of intense images, to be honest. It seems like live long and prosper just isn't cutting it for you. You want to go hardcore.
Absolutely. And what's fascinating about the Klingons, even though they're fictional, is how much their values actually resonate with philosophies we see in the real world. Those philosophies emphasizing action and honor, resilience, that sort of thing. And these texts and visuals combined, they give us a really unique perspective on the Klingon mindset.
Okay, so our mission, if you choose to accept it, is to decode these core Klingon values. We're going to see if their ancient sayings have any surprising wisdom for us in the modern world, and where better to start than with a quote that practically jumps off the page. Klingons never bluff. I mean, wow, talk about a bold statement.
It really is a statement that gets right to the core of Klingon culture, and it goes beyond simple honesty. It's about a deep commitment to action instead of empty words. And this integrity, this refusal to even consider deception, that really shapes their whole worldview.
It's almost like they're saying, stop wasting time and get to the point.
Yeah.
And it makes you wonder, how often do we get stuck just talking about things instead of actually, doing them? Have you ever felt that hesitation yourself, that pull to avoid action, even when you know what needs to be done?
It's definitely something to think about, those moments of hesitation. Are we holding back out of fear? Uncertainty, maybe? Or are we just clinging to the comfort of not taking action? The Klingons would probably say, if you are sad, act. Which sounds strange at first, but it gets at their core belief in channeling emotion, even difficult emotions, into decisive action.
Okay, now that's where it gets really interesting for me. It's like they're saying, don't get lost in sadness, use it. Turning negative emotions into fuel for action. It's a very proactive approach and a little intimidating, wouldn't you say?
For sure. But imagine if instead of letting those feelings, the fear or uncertainty, stop you, you use them to actually get things done. What about you? Is there a project you've been putting off? Conversation, some kind of change you know you need to make, but haven't because of fear or uncertainty. That's something a Klingon would confront head on.
It's a totally different way of looking at things. Now, here is a Klingon saying that might surprise some people. Pleasure is not essential. They don't beat around the bush, do they?
Not at all. This saying shows us their priorities very clearly. For Klingons, honor, duty, and achievement come before comfort and pleasure. That's not to say you should deny yourself all joy, but it's about putting pleasure in its rightful place.
It's not about becoming some kind of joyless robot, right? It's about recognizing that those fleeting moments of enjoyment shouldn't overshadow what's truly important. Which begs the question, what are your core priorities? Are you devoting your time and energy to things that actually align with those priorities? Or are you, and I'm just asking honestly, chasing fleeting pleasures at the expense of something more meaningful?
Now that's the question the Klingons would want you to think about. And it leads us to another proverb that makes you stop and think. To understand life, endure pain. They're not glorifying suffering here. They're acknowledging that going through tough times is part of growing as a person.
It's like they see pain as a teacher, right? It pushes us to become stronger, wiser, more resilient. So instead of avoiding challenges, they face them directly, seeing those challenges as opportunities for learning.
That's it, exactly. Look, we all go through tough times. It's inevitable. But the question is, how do we react when those times come? The Klingon perspective encourages us to ask, what can I learn from this? How can I use this to become a better, stronger version of myself?
That's such a powerful way to reframe those difficult experiences. Instead of asking, why me, when things get tough, what if we asked, what can I gain from this? Which leads us to another interesting aspect of Klingon culture, which is this deep connection they have to their heritage, to their family line. You shared an image with us of three Klingon faces representing different generations and phrases like, listen to the voice of your blood and the memory of you sings in my blood. It's powerful imagery.
Definitely. It speaks to their belief that blood isn't just biology, it's spiritual. They carry their ancestors inside them, the memories, the experiences, the values. It's a wellspring of strength, wisdom, and a powerful feeling of belonging.
So we're not just talking about genetics and family trees here. It's about acknowledging the legacy of those who came before us. Their struggles, their victories, their stories, they're all part of who we are today. So let me ask you, how has your own family history, your background shaped you into the person you are now? What stories or values have been passed down to you? And how do those things influence your life today?
It's an important question for all of us, especially in our increasingly interconnected world.
Now, On the subject of things deeply rooted in Klingon culture, we have to talk about their fierce warrior spirit. It just explodes off the images you've shown us a Klingon warrior with sayings like, a warrior does not complain about physical discomfort, Klingons do not lie in bed, Klingons do not procrastinate, and there are no old warriors. Talk about a call to action. It's like they're pushing us to live lives filled with purpose, to constantly strive for, well, everything.
You're exactly right.
Mhm.
But the Klingon warrior spirit isn't just about physical strength, is it? It's about mental toughness, emotional resilience, and absolute refusal to give up when things get hard.
Yeah, they face their problems head on. They don't back down from challenges, and they definitely don't believe in hitting the snooze button on life. But how do we tap into that same warrior spirit in our own lives? Especially when we're dealing with, say, a mountain of emails instead of an actual battle.
That's a great question, and it's where the true heart of the Klingon warrior spirit shines through. It's about bringing that same level of intensity, that same discipline and commitment to everything we do in life.
So it's about conquering our fears, pushing through discomfort, taking responsibility for our choices. It's about living intentionally with a sense of purpose and saying no to mediocrity.
Yes, exactly.
Hmm.
And maybe it's about embracing the Klingon belief that in space, all warriors are cold warriors.
Ooh, now that's an intriguing one. Can you unpack that a little? What's the deeper meaning there?
It is a powerful metaphor when you think about it. The vastness of space, all the unknown challenges out there, how unforgiving that environment can be. To make it out there, you need a certain mindset, don't you? Courage, calculated action, that ability to adapt when things get unpredictable.
Right, so it's not about being cold-hearted, but more like facing the unknown with a clear head, being strategic. It's like being prepared for anything, any of those metaphorical Romulan warships or Gorn showdowns life throws your way. But how do we actually apply that to, dealing with conflict in everyday life? I mean, most of us aren't exactly engaging in hand-to-hand combat on a daily basis.
True, but we do have sayings like, hit 'em hard and hit 'em fast, or if it's in your way, knock it down. These proverbs show how important it is to the Klingons to be decisive, almost aggressive, when dealing with obstacles.
That definitely sounds kind of intense for, say, a disagreement with a coworker or a scheduling mix-up. Are we supposed to approach everything like it's a battle?
Well, you have to remember, these proverbs come from a culture that often sees conflict as unavoidable, a test of your strength and your cunning. But even though our battles might look different, the core idea is still relevant. Sometimes the best way to overcome something is to just face it directly, with total determination.
So it's not about being reckless, but about being proactive, decisive even.
Yeah.
When you hit those obstacles, even those metaphorical mountains, channeling that Klingon assertiveness, clearing a path forward.
Exactly. But it's not always about brute force either. Klingons understand the importance of strategy and observation too. Take this proverb. If you must negotiate, watch your enemy's eyes. It tells us they pay close attention to their opponent, that they take a very calculated approach to resolving conflict.
Okay, now that is interesting. On the one hand, we have choose to fight, not negotiate, which seems like, well, very Klingon. But then there's this more nuanced view of negotiation. Like, it's not just about charging in with weapons blazing all the time.
Exactly. It shows how adaptable that Klingon warrior spirit really is. They choose their battles, recognizing that sometimes you need a more strategic approach. But even in negotiation, they're still warriors. They're just using different tools, observation, analysis, understanding their opponent's motives.
So it's knowing when to draw your ballot and when to engage in, I don't know, a battle of minds instead?
You got it. But even with all this talk of fighting and conquest, there's this strong sense of honor woven throughout these proverbs.
Absolutely. Honor's huge in Klingon culture. It's about integrity, courage, having deep respect for yourself and even for your enemies. We see it in sayings like, there is no honor in attacking the weak, and there is nothing shameful in falling before a superior enemy.
Exactly. It's not about winning no matter what. It's about fighting with dignity, following a code that values fairness and respect.
So it's not just about winning, it's about how you conduct yourself,
Yeah,
right?
right. They understand that true strength isn't just physical power, it's moral strength too. It's a principle that resonates with us today, I think. We admire those who stand up for what's right, who fight for those who can't fight for themselves, who face challenges with integrity.
And that idea of facing challenges with integrity ties back into something else we touched on earlier, which is the Klingons' deep respect for their ancestors, for their lineage. We talked about those images and phrases like, listen to the voice of your blood and the memory of you sings in my blood. So in their approach to life and death even, how significant do you think that connection to their ancestors really is?
It's about legacy, isn't it? It's about understanding that none of us exist in isolation. We carry the stories, the values, the essence of those who came before us.
It's like they believe their ancestors are still alive in them, guiding them, shaping their destiny.
Yes, exactly. And that connection gives them a deep sense of purpose, a sense of belonging. They're fighting for more than just themselves. They're fighting for their family, their clan, their whole lineage. It's about upholding the honor of their bloodline and making sure their own actions are worthy of being remembered, celebrated even, by future generations.
That's a powerful way to look at it, even if we don't believe in an afterlife in the same way they might. It makes you think about what kind of legacy we're building with our own lives.
Yeah.
How are we impacting the world? What will people say about us when we're gone? What stories will they tell? What values will we leave behind?
These are important questions, questions the Klingons would urge us all to consider.
Mhm.
Because for them, true immortality isn't about avoiding death. It's about living a life that echoes through generations, a life of honor, of courage, of total commitment to what truly matters.
Yeah, that's a really powerful way to think about it. It's not about trying to live forever, but about the impact we have, the values we embody, the mark we leave on the world. But even with this focus on legacy, some Cleon sayings hint at a more, I don't know, maybe a more complex view of death. A little melancholy, maybe?
Right, like this one. Great deeds, great songs.
Mhm.
A warrior's legacy isn't just passed down through family. It lives on through stories, through those echoes of their actions. It's about achieving a level of greatness that outlives you.
And isn't that kind of beautiful in a way? To know that even after we're gone, the stories of our lives could inspire others, maybe even spark change. It's like a different kind of immortality? Immortality through shared experience. But those stories, that legacy, it all comes down to how we choose to live right now, in this moment.
Absolutely. And that brings us to another interesting Klingon proverb. Real power is in the heart. It's a reminder that true strength isn't just physical. It's about the fire inside you, your passion, your courage, that unwavering spirit, and that inner strength, the core of who you are. It goes beyond life and death.
It's like they're saying, even though our bodies might fade away, the impact of our actions, the love we shared, the courage we showed, that energy, that essence, it lives on. Kind of like that other saying, the memory of you sings in my blood. It's a beautiful testament to how powerful human connection can be, don't you think?
Without a doubt. It speaks to the deep impact we have on each other, an impact that lasts far beyond our physical presence. And it shows how important it is to cherish those connections, to honor the people in our lives, because our actions, they create these ripples that keep going even after we're gone. But to live a life that people remember, a life full of great deeds and inspiring stories, that takes a certain fearlessness, wouldn't you say? A willingness to embrace challenges, to push past your comfort zone.
Well, the Klingons definitely have something to say about that. We see it in sayings like, there is always a chance, capture all opportunities, and to survive, we must expand. They have this boundless energy, this refusal to let fear or doubt hold them back.
They have this incredible thirst for life, an absolute belief in their ability to forge their own path. They don't wait for opportunities, they go out and create them.
It's like they're saying, yeah, the universe is a dangerous place, but we are Klingons. We rise to the challenge, we don't back down. It's inspiring, even if their methods can be a little, shall we say, intense.
Their philosophy makes us look at our own relationship with risk, with opportunity. Are we playing it too safe, letting fear stop us from achieving our goals? Or are we actively looking for those challenges, embracing the unknown with that same fearlessness of a Klingon facing down, well, anything?
It's a real call to action, but it's not about being reckless either. The Klingons, as we've seen, value strategy, they value observation and a healthy dose of pragmatism, right? Remember? Trust your instincts, but locate the doors.
Absolutely. It's about finding that sweet spot between boldness and wisdom, action and calculated risk. It's about trusting your gut, but also being ready for anything. And sometimes the best opportunities for growth are right outside that comfort zone.
Well said. As we wrap up this deep dive into Klingon wisdom, I have to say I'm feeling both humbled and energized. We've explored this worldview that's so intense, so nuanced, a philosophy that prizes strength and honor, but also recognizes the importance of strategy, compassion, and those powerful human connections. It's been quite a journey.
It really has. It's been a pleasure exploring these ideas with you. And to our listeners, I hope you found this as fascinating as I have. The Klingons, as fierce as they are, offer some great insights into living a life of purpose, a life of integrity, of unwavering commitment to what really matters. They remind us that even when things are tough, there's always hope, there's always room to grow, and always a chance to leave behind a legacy that will inspire those who come after us.
Beautifully put, and maybe that's the biggest takeaway of all. So, to our listeners, we'll leave you with this final thought-provoking nugget of Klingon wisdom. Only fools have no fear. How can you take your own fears, those things that hold you back, and turn them into fuel for growth? How can they help you lead a life of courage, purpose, and true integrity? Kapla. Success.